forward like geese. There was a pause as the loadie spoke into his mic to the British Airways navigator. Then he pulled the handles. Even though I had a helmet on, I heard the massive rush of air. Where the door had been was now a black hole, and freezing cold wind whipped at the parts of my face that weren't covered by my mask. I pulled my goggles over my eyes, gripping hard to the airframe. 7 miles below us lay Syria, enemy territory. The loadie's light changed to green, and out we spilled. You can now freefall from an aircraft flying at high altitude and miles from the target area and glide gently to a pinpoint landing. The technique calls for extreme weather clothing and oxygen equipment to survive temperatures as low as -40 degrees this high up, especially when a 50-mile cross-country descent can take nearly 2 hours. I could tell by the wind and the aircraft lights flashing above me that I was upside down. I spread my arms and legs and arched my back, banging me over into a stable position. I could just see a figure over on the right. Downstairs, I couldn't see a single light. All I could hear was the rush of air. It was like sticking your head out of a car traveling at 120 miles an hour. What I had to do now was keep stable for the 8,000-foot drop to an automatic opening. I could see the needle on my wrist outie going past 34,000, and on 30,000 feet, bang! Like running into a brick wall. I could hear another canopy cracking open, and Sarah and Reg 1 spiral past me to get into his correct position in the stack, Sarah hanging like a small child as he slotted in between me and Reg 2. Being the last man, it was a piece of piss for me. As long as I was directly above and just touching the rear of the canopy below me, I wasn't going to get lost. Reg 1 would be doing the same to Reg 2, who was at the bottom navigating. We were travelling at 35 knots. The canopy gives you 20 knots, and we were running with the wind, which was 15. I checked my height. Just over 28 grand. Good. Checked my sat-nav. Good. That was it. Everything was done. The oxygen was working. We were stacked. For the next 30 minutes, we minced along the sky. I started to see lights now. Small towns and villages with streetlights following the roads out, and then darkness. Only car lights giving away the road. Another 10 minutes. Down at 6,500 feet. I put on my night viewing goggles and started to look for the brilliant quick flash from the infrared firefly. There, to my half right. We were coming in on finals. I heard Reg 1 sounding like an infant school teacher. Right, any minute now. Keep your legs bent and under your hips. Are your legs bent? I pulled the NVG off. I couldn't see any ground yet, it was too dark. But I heard, "Stand by, flaring soon, flaring." Then his Bergen thumping into the ground, and his command to Sarah, "Now!" His canopy started to collapse as I flew past. I kicked my Bergen off on a 3-meter line. As soon as I heard it land, I flared too. Hitting the deck, I pulled my lines to collapse the canopy. A body appeared. Reg's 3 to 6 were manning the drop zone. They'd been on the ground for 5 days, preparing and placing an explosive attack onto an electricity substation, which was going to close down the town while we hit the target. "You all right, mate?" I recognised Glenn's soft-spoken David Essex voice. The ground commander, the only one whose name I knew. "Yeah, fine." Within minutes, our kit had been stowed in bin liners, and we were aboard 2 Toyota Previas, the drivers wearing NVGs, bouncing along the desert, heading for an industrial estate a mile from the Golan Heights. Glenn and I went way back, to when we were chatting up the same woman who was now his wife. He was always smiling, in love with his wife, his 2 kids, and his job. At the drop-off point, the stars gave us enough light to move without bumbling. I got Sarah underneath one of the stumpy trees of the olive grove while the Regis sorted themselves out. The glow of the town could be seen coming from the dead ground about 5 k's beyond the target. The night air was cold, and I couldn't wait to get moving. The driver held up a magnetic box. "Keys," he said. "Both vehicles, rear near side wheel arch." I glanced at Sarah as we both nodded.